Greetings and welcome to Lessons from the Mundane, or LFTM, the show where you and I are able to glean life-giving lessons from everyday things all around us, otherwise known as the mundane. My name is Jason, or you can call me Jace, your humble host for these next few minutes, and a fellow believer in living a life of abundance and fulfillment. Something I truly and genuinely desire to share with you. Today we're talking about endurance part 2, and it's not just about endurance in this part 2 as per last week's teaser video. We're talking about the difference now, or understanding the subtle, the subtle uniqueness of the difference between endurance and perseverance. They are both in the same family, but whilst one operates passively, the other operates actively. So let's talk relationships. There are places where you have to apply endurance, just don't quit, don't be the one that walks away. And there are also places where you have to apply perseverance. At that point in time, it's not, hey, just don't quit. There's more for you to do. It takes on a more active role, but both of them involve you staying. Both of them involve you saying, I won't quit, right? So let's talk about the rocky places in our relationships where you love the other person, you desire the other person, they desire you, but there's just some friction. You don't really see eye to eye. Tensions are high. At that point, it's not time to be just pouring in energy trying to change their minds or trying to convince them that they're wrong or to convince them that you're right or whatever it is the case, right? At that point in time, with tensions being as high as they are, it's time to endure. And by that, I mean, if it means letting them talk their heart out while you stay quiet, that is not perseverance necessarily. It can be interpreted that way if you really want to get technical, but let's not get technical right now. That is more so endurance than it is perseverance. As far as what's happening to you, endurance is more of a reactive thing, right? Perseverance then shifts into an active role, a proactive role. I think I prefer that term. So endurance is reactive, perseverance is proactive. Does that make sense a little bit? Hopefully, I hope so. So whilst you endure the difficulties of the relationship for a certain time while things die down for a little bit, but once tensions aren't as high as they used to be and you're able to actually talk to each other a little bit more now, at that point in time, you must begin to shift into perseverance. And that means taking certain actions, sacrificing certain desires or wants or preferences for the sake of the preservation of the relationship, right? For the growth of the relationship. There are certain things that I'm not comfortable with naturally, either because I didn't grow up with them or because it just, it just goes counter to my natural inclination, personality-wise. But when it comes to being in a relationship with someone else, someone like me especially, I would say, has to be very careful about how often they stand their ground. What is an actual character trait versus a character flaw that needs to change? Sometimes it takes a third party, an unbiased voice in your life to let you know what needs to happen. Because you've grown up with it, it is in you, therefore it feels like it's a part of you as opposed to an attachment to you. But there are some things that, being in relationships over time, it's become obvious to me that there have been a lot of things about myself that I need to change. For example, I have grown up in an environment where you didn't really talk much when you were being spoken to or try to have a quote-unquote conversation. It was more so you speak, I listen, I speak, you listen. That I'd say that would be the consensus, the general consensus. Especially if you're being spoken to by an adult or someone you truly respect, I was taught that the greatest form of respect would be undivided attention, right? So when someone I care about is speaking to me, I would stay very, very still, stoic, just making sure I pay attention. Occasionally, I'd throw in a question or two just to make sure they know I'm still alive and I'm there, right? But aside from that, it was just taking in the information. And after they would tell me something, for example, something deeply wounding that they've been through, or talking about a situation of adversity in their lives, I would take that information and start to assimilate it, or is it assimilation, or start to try and understand it, process it. There we go. I would try to start to process that information, but I would do so internally. In the past couple months, I've learned so much about what it means to truly be an active listener. That is a skill I've had to develop very, very recently. Active listening. And it's taken perseverance for me to develop that. Not just endurance. I wasn't just staying. I wasn't just surviving. I wasn't just holding my ground. Sometimes that is what's needed, because life is trying to push you out of your position, or, the negativity of the situation is trying to force you to run and to quit. At those points, it takes endurance. Whatever is happening to you, whatever is being done to you, whatever is being told to you, you do not let it faze you, and you stand your ground. That is endurance, mainly. There's, like I said, there's some perseverance in there, but that's not really the prevalent power that you're using. You're using the power of endurance. But now, if there are actions that I need to take, for example, to actively change, certain aspects of my personality, to change some definitions that I used to believe to be true, or used to believe to be most optimal, when it doesn't work for everybody. Some people would prefer that you just quietly process everything afterwards, but others need to know, hey, that was a difficult thing. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm impressed that you're still here after everything that you just told me. It must have been really hard. Some affirmation for what they just expressed. That kind of stuff. I'm not used to that. It is not something I grew up with, nor is it something that I'm used to giving. So it's taken perseverance for me to learn that. Let me share with you a quote that I recently discovered that I think is very poignant to the topic. It's by Karen Salmonson. What if I told you that 10 years from now, your life would be exactly the same? I doubt you'd be happy. So why are you afraid of change? And I think that is very, very telling of where our priorities are. Is your priority growth, or is it comfort? Are you just trying to make it through life and endure, one-sidedly endure all the time? Or are there instances where you truly believe that your life and those around you would benefit from some perseverance on your end? What does it take? How do you view yourself? Do you view yourself as someone capable of doing that? A public speaker that I admire very much, Ed Milet, coined the phrase, the phrase max out, right? He said something akin to this in one of the many videos of his that I've watched. He said, you do not see things in the world as they are. You see things in the world as you are. And what does that mean? It means your self-perception affects how you relate to any and everything around you, any and everyone around you. I'm talking about just having that base level of value, that everyone is equally valuable, maybe not equally talented or equally positioned, but equally valuable as a human being. Our values are skewed, and it's not because that's what they actually are, it's because of our perception. So in the subsequent videos, I hope to help you guys not just deal with that, but first things first, I hope to help you guys acknowledge that. I hope to help point it out, in your life, and not in an accusatory way or with a condemning tone, but just genuinely because I care. And I believe that you need to understand how you see yourself, because then you'll understand what you truly experience in greater depth from the outside world, whether it's from people or from life circumstances. They'll take on a whole new meaning when you change how you see yourself, because you're valuable. You're watching this video right now. You're able to make decisions. You're able to click. You're able to breathe. You're able to think. There's so much that you're able to do. It goes to show just how capable you are. So just because you're not able to do X, Y, and Z that this other person can or that other person can, it's not a comparison game. The only person you're racing against in this life is you. You're racing against your own potential. You're not racing against any Hollywood stars. You're not racing against any YouTube sensations. You're racing against what you're actually capable of. Sometimes you'll need to endure. Hold on. Don't quit. Don't let go. Other times, you'll need to set aside your comfort. You'll need to set aside your preferences. You'll need to set aside your biases. And you'll need to put in the work. Apply some elbow grease and just do whatever you can, whatever it takes to get to your goal, to not just stay in the race, but get further. That is perseverance. Sometimes life will force you to be reactive. Endure. There are other times that life will give you an opportunity to be proactive. When that comes, I urge you, persevere. I don't know if I've said it already in my previous videos, but one of my mom's favorite poems that she would always recite to us as kids is heights of great men, reached and kept, but were not attained by sudden flight. But they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards through the night. That's not just endurance. Because endurance would be you do the work, and then you sleep with everybody else. You're still in the race. But toiling upwards through the night, that's perseverance. You're not required to do that. They wanted more. They were thirsty for more. That's perseverance. But you need both in your life, a balance of the two. So in closing, although today, we didn't really have a quote-unquote mundane focus, I believe, the lessons of endurance and perseverance still remain. Right? So though the topic be mundane, its lessons forever remain. And with that, my name is Jason, or you can call me Jace. This was Lessons from the Mundane, or LFTM, and I speak favor and fulfillment over your life. I pray that this video will stick with you forever. And that when you need to, you'll hang on. When the batteries are low, you won't walk away. You'll just do what you can. Sometimes all it takes is all you got left, which is showing up. You don't have to go above and beyond. You don't have to dig deep. Just keep showing up. But there are going to be other times where you've got a little more juice than usual, where you got a little more rest than, last time. And it's going to take an active decision from you to say, I can do one more set. I can do one more rep. I can run one more lap. I can send one more text and apologize. For some of you, endurance is not walking away from that person. But perseverance would look like being the first one to reach out and say, I'm sorry. Because it costs you a lot more than just staying. That's perseverance. That's being active. That's being proactive. So I'll say that again. Endurance looks like not walking away, not quitting, not throwing them away. Whether they were wrong or you were wrong, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about in the grand scheme of the relationship because it matters to you. Endurance looks like staying power. But perseverance looks like being the one to do whatever it takes for the relationship to not just exist, but get better and And sometimes that just means taking on the weight of the blame first, saying, I'm sorry, or I was wrong. Whether you believe it or not, take an active role in your own recovery and success. My friends, I urge you to endure, and I encourage you to persevere. I pray that God helps us all to do that, oh so consistently, and in a balanced way. All right, take care, guys.